Alright, hello everyone. We got game 4 today of the Ding versus Ian Championship. And let me see who actually had what color pieces, because I don't remember. Okay, so I guess Ding was on white. Okay, yeah, he played c4. Alright, so Ding started with the white pieces, he played c4. We get knight to f6, knight c3, and we get e5, taking control of the center. We get knight to f3. It's kind of like a reverse Sicilian, right? Knight to c6. We get e3. Bishop to b4. Queen to c2, just to prevent some doubling. Although I don't think it would be horrible in this position. I mean, if you could avoid it, why not? Oh, he ended up doing it anyway. An interesting move. It seems exotic to capture with the pawn. After all, what is the queen on c2 for? Yeah, that's what I was just saying. But the idea is now to play with e3 to e4 and try to assert the strength of the center with a pair of bishops. Alright, so I mean, I guess it's not a move that hasn't been played, but it is a rather uncommon move. Especially if the queen was coming here to c2. I mean, you would think that, you would just play like bishop e2 or something and castle if you were going to take with the pawn anyway. But, oh well. We get e4. Castles. I'm assuming he's going to want to play c5 here at some point. I mean, maybe the bishop comes here, pawn comes up here first, and then bishop a3. But I don't really see this bishop having a whole lot of scope on the game. I mean, maybe d4 is played and you get some captures, and then it gets up. But we'll see. Bishop e2 for now. Knight comes over to h5. We play d4. Okay, there we go. Knight comes into f4. I wonder if he's looking for an exchange. He takes it. It's better to take with this bishop just because it wasn't developed yet. If you were to develop this one and then you take this one, you have to take with king for one, or say, another example. Let's say your bishop went here instead when there was not a pawn there previously. And then he took. Queen would take, and pretty much two pieces that you developed, already, you'd spend 3 moves pretty much developing one piece because he swapped it off. So why not just use your developing move to trade off the pieces? And now he has a weird double pawn here on f4 with no easy way to support it. We get castles. Queen f6. Rook to e1. Rook e8. Bishop to d3. Just looking to snap off that pawn. We get bishop to g4. And this is not a double pawn move that you want to have, so you will either have to protect that or you will have to move the knight. So he moves the knight to d2. I don't see a whole lot of great rerouting options right now unless he plans on playing like d5 and then sitting it down on d4, which isn't bad actually. We get knight to a5. We get c5. Right, so we got rid of his double pawn. And then we get e5, threatening the queen. Queen comes over here to h6, and I actually kind of like Ian's position more in this scenario, just because he's more so attacking. I know this move was also to defend the pawn getting captured on h7, but overall, I like this position a little more. Even though this pawn's a little funky on f4, I think it's pretty decent setup. Excuse me. So we see d5. So he definitely has control over the center and even encroaching into enemy territory. We get rook to d5. So now you're probably going to see a c4. Yeah. Then we see b6. Just fixing the pawns so that the bishop can get in and out. We see h3. Bishop goes back. Still pretty much has the same scope. It's going to be harder to get over there now, but I anticipate probably f6 will come at some point. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. But I anticipate f6 will come at some point. We got bishop to e4. That I don't completely understand. I mean, maybe he's trying to trade these off. Maybe he thinks that's pretty problematic. Rook to e7. Queen to c3. The reason why the rook was never able to take so far is just because you always have the move bishop takes h7 lurking, and whichever way you capture, I mean, the rook's going to be taken with that rook. Now we see doubling. Bishop goes down to f3, so he is looking to exchange it. We're going to see the knight start maneuvering around. I wonder where it's going to go, though, because it doesn't have a whole ton of good squares right now. He's also looking to double. Yep, and now f6 is played. So Ding pushes forward. He's got himself a passed pawn. And very nice chain, actually, for that matter, too. He even will have the move d6 at some point, where he's going to be threatening both the rook and the knight at once. At some point isn't right now, because you could quite simply just recapture this pawn with the knight. But the idea stands. This bishop also can't leave its post right now, because, I mean, the rook would just fall. So, knight to d6, doubling of the rooks, knight to f5, and as you can see, this knight took quite a trip around the board. I don't even remember all the squares that it hit to get there. No, it came from here, I think. But anyway, that knight has brought itself all the way over to the other side of the board, so that it's now a pretty useful piece. We see the exchange, and we see the rook target the f4 pawn. Like I said, this will be a weakness a little later on, but now that f6 was played, I mean, you could play like a g5 and a h6 and just move the king up. No problem there. He chooses to defend with the queen instead. I wonder if we're going to see like a queen f3, although then I think we'll definitely see g5. So Nepo goes knight to d4. So I mean, that pawn is for the taking if he wants it. Yeah. I don't see anything else in this position, really. Ooh, he takes the rook, or the knight. I wonder what the idea behind that was. I mean, I guess that there's no way to protect these two pawns and protect this square, because if the knight gets to this square, I don't know how that'll happen exactly, but if the knight can get to that square, then, you know, he can put pressure on Nepo. So I can understand the sack. Yep, so he targets that first pawn. Cool. So, yep, and if he wants to take, I'm assuming he's going to take with this pawn, and then he's going to put the other rook behind. He's going to put the knight there. He's going to make a blockade instead. Probably better than moving the rook, because even if you take this pawn, I mean, it's not the most comfortable once you get like a rook, you know, coming to one of these squares. Not f7, obviously, but we see rook to h7 occur. And as you can see, I mean, he could start pushing now. The only thing is it wouldn't be protected too well. Queen goes to, excuse me, to e4. Sorry, I'm just thinking while I'm talking. But the queen goes to e4, and I'm just looking at this potential pin and how that queen would be hanging. So when this happens, you would have to move your king to get to the queen instead of taking. So a nice tactic could occur where you grab the queen either way. So he defends that, of course, by moving the king. Then we see e7 occur. And I wonder if the queen is going to make its way in to like e6, and then if it'll try getting to d7 and either taking these pawns or just putting more pressure on the rook, maybe going to d8. Yep, so he's blocking that square. But I wonder if he can still play it. I wonder if this is still playable. Takes, rook takes, and you could either go here or here. Black could take the pawn, but then the exchange would happen back. And I kind of like white structure more now. Oh, okay, so he plays d6. Captures, captures. Can't the queen just take here? And isn't he fine? Ah, he would take the rook. Queen takes queen. Yeah, and that would be a free rook. Looks like he's gonna get the rook anyway if he wants it. He does want it. And yeah, now he's just 5 to 5 pawn wise. But as you could see, one of these pawns is not like the others. One of them is a pass pawn, one rank from promoting, and you have the queen playing defense. So all pawns are not equal, it seems here. Yep, we're going to see queen come to e6, just get a better position for himself, threatening f6. We might see him try to defend like this or like this. But I'm thinking that that's when the other rook starts to play. Oh, he actually blocks his rook. Okay, so he blocks his rook to defend it. I wonder if now we'll see rook f1. Yeah. So that rook's going to come defend. Now what do you do? Do you go with one of these? No, he's switching to get to d8. Now that the rook and queen don't guard this square, then he's trying to threaten from another side. We see f5. Okay, so he's threatening the queen here. The idea is that if you go here, takes and takes, and then your rook is going to get pressured. So he checks him. King goes to f7, and now this move again no longer works because you would just take the pawn with your queen. So what does he find in response? So he starts grabbing pawns, okay. And you don't want to grab this as the king because you obviously have this move lurking, or you would lose the queen. So instead he blocks with a rook. He's got this move available, and then he could take another pawn. I wonder if that's what he'll do. No, he fixes his position instead to go after this pawn. Okay. We have, let me see why this wouldn't work, for example. Oh, same thing, I guess. Either way that it happens, that's no good. But he threatens the queen. Queen goes to f8 at last, looking to get that trade off. And, okay, this is how the game could have occurred, I guess. So he must have surrendered right here. So Ding Liren ties the score up. Wow, so we have 2 draws and a win apiece. So it's 2-2 at the moment. Yeah, that looked like a great game. I think the move that kind of, I'm going to look at the engine bar on the side and cheat a little bit. But I think I know where the game kind of changed. I think it was the sack for the knight. Let me see. It's even. Yeah, the computer did not like that move. Yeah, and you're just kind of corrupting your own position, trying to save, you know, to save the position. I mean, both of your pieces, all 3 of your pieces actually, are just playing defense, so it doesn't really matter that Ding had to lose 1 rook because the pawn is doing the job of one of these rooks pretty much. So you're able to kind of move freely if you want and do whatever really in this position. And knights are kind of super strong in closed positions, and when you still have 7 pawns on the board for each side, then it most definitely is a closed position. So knights are, I would say, almost as powerful as rooks, and these rooks definitely more powerful just because they're absolutely doing nothing, just stacked over there in the back. But wow, I actually enjoyed that game. I am rooting for for Ian, but I thought that was a really good game by Ding, and it's good to see that he's still fighting because we're gonna get some more interesting games then as a result. And if you guys enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you for the next game or the next episode if you want to watch anything else. Have a good one.